Hello YouTube, how you guys doing today? It is me again, your favorite Texas trucker, and I'm at home this time. So me and the kid, you know, the one I took out with me, this one over here, he kicked it. Come on over, come over and say hi.
Hi.
Hey. Yeah, that kid right there, make sure we're still on the thing here.
Yeah, we're good.
We're coming today, you know, y'all have heard me talk about health and good stuff, so we're going to make butter today. And so I've got my mixer, and you need this paddle right here for the mixer, or something very similar to it on whatever mixer you might have. This is the lazy guy's way of doing this. Make sure there's nothing up in here. I'm not going to churn it the old-fashioned way. So what we're going to do, I'm using Shep's heavy whipping cream. The ingredients here, I'll have 2 quarts Shep's heavy whipping cream, and then I will have about a teaspoon or so of salt. Okay, and that is it. Those are the only ingredients. We are going to start on slow. This can be quite messy, so we're going to try to avoid making much of a mess. And you start it on slow and just pour the whipping cream in. That's kind of why I'm doing it over here on the oven range, because we have a flat top oven and it's easier to clean up, and it does make a mess. So we're just going to pour both these in there. If possible, you need to use as natural ingredients as you can. So I prefer ingredients that are wholly organic, because organic ingredients come from cows that are fed grass, and they're not fed genetically modified grains. I'm going to speed this up a bit. This takes a little bit of time, and see, that's what I'm talking about. It makes a little bit of a mess. This takes a little bit of time for it to start thickening up. We're trying to do it without spraying everything everywhere. I taught my mother-in-law, Lisa Bosley, how to do this yesterday, or the day before yesterday. So this is actually my second batch of butter that I've made since I've been home. I think that'll work without spreading too much around. Later on tonight, I am going to make homemade cornbread, and we are going to make that with whole wheat flour, stone ground yellow cornmeal, honey, and baking powder. Okay. I will also be using the buttermilk extract that we get for making the butter. I'll be using the batch that we got from last night, or the night before last, when we made the butter the last time. Alright, so this may be a little bit boring sitting here watching this, but it is going to take a little while. So we're going to talk about a few health items while this is working. You know, I've talked to y'all before about, you know, my personal health issues, and you know, and we're trying to get as close as we can to a natural way of eating without breaking the bank. Alright, now with that said, I could go down to the store and I could buy real butter. They sell it down at the store. As a matter of fact, I usually buy it when I'm out on the road, because, you know, I don't have the means to make butter while I'm on the road. I have to do this while I'm at the house. This will last me for, you know, 2 or 3 weeks, and then that last week or so, I'll be out of butter. I'm slinging cream everywhere right now. Let me clean this as I go, because it's going to be continually making a mess.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, let's turn it down a little bit. I told you it is messy, and it will continue to make a mess the entire time. Anyway, I could go down and I could buy butter from the store, but I don't want to do that. I want to make my own, and I want my kids to know how to make their own stuff. I want my family to know how to make their own stuff. I think it's a art that we have lost, and and I'd like to do my part to regain that. All right, so we're going to make the butter. I'm going to show you the process. I'll speed it back up again here in a second. The reason that it's starting to make a mess right now, and the reason that I had to slow it down, is because as this paddle works its way through this butter, it's filling it with air. Okay, we're whipping the butter, and so it's going to expand in volume. All right, and as it expands, that's why you got to stay over this the entire time, and you've got to make sure it doesn't get out of control, because it will sling cream everywhere. So it's expanding in volume, and then what's going to happen is it's going to get to a point where it's going to start turning into peaks. It's going to turn into kind of the consistency of cake frosting. Okay, and then quickly after that, it's going to break down into two separate parts, and so your buttermilk is going to break off, and your butter is going to break off. So it'll make two separate parts. Then we'll skim off the buttermilk, we'll filter it out, and then we'll use it for other projects later. Okay, but as of right now, you can already see it's thickening up. I'm going to move the camera over here so you can kind of get a look here. It's already thickening up. Right now it's not the watery texture that it was when I poured it in. Now it's kind of got that kind of eggnog type texture to it. All right. As I said, this is just a heavy whipping cream that we're using for this. The best thing to use would be a wholly organic whipping cream, and that's what I'd like to use. But none of my stores around here, or none of my the stores that we have in this area sell it. So I got to go with what I've got. The only other ingredient in here is salt. I got it in a little tequila shot glass, but I use sea salt. There's about a tablespoon or so of salt in here. I don't really like a lot of sodium in my stuff, so I cook without sodium more often than I don't. So I've got sea salt, but it's not a whole lot. You can kind of see, just a little bit, about a teaspoon of which in here it's going to go into about a pound or so of butter. The faster you can get this thing going, the faster it'll take. But as you see, you can't get it going too fast because it will sling buttermilk everywhere. If I had a deeper bowl and I was able to run it without it overflowing the sides, I could have this probably done already. But since I don't, then you've got to go a little bit slower. But it'll still do the same thing. And we'll keep trying to speed it up as it thickens up. As it thickens up, you'll be able to speed it up. And the taste is fantastic. I think the butter tastes better than margarine, which of course is not good for you. And while we're waiting, I'd like to kind of give you a little bit of a rundown of where our margarine came from. Back in the 40s, margarine it wasn't originally called margarine, but it was created as a supplement to fatten up fatten up turkeys for slaughter, so that the turkeys would have a lot more fat and a lot more weight per pound, based on what they were normally getting. Well, what they found was that as they were feeding this stuff to the turkeys, all the turkeys started dying off. So they took it off the market, and they went back to the drawing board. They didn't want to waste all the money they had spent creating the product, so they remarketed it and sold it off as a butter substitute, and they changed the name, to margarine, and that is where it comes from. Margarine is one molecule away from being plastic. Somebody in one of the science studies that I was reading about it took margarine out and put it in an outside environment for a week, and then while it was outside, they had a whatever that camera is that speeds everything up on it. No insects came near it, no flies came near it, no mold grew on it, it just, the stuff is bad for you. They've linked it to 6 different kinds of cancer. They've linked it to arthritis. They've linked it to Alzheimer's, just a plethora of medical issues. It's linked to diabetes. It's linked to obesity. It's linked to high blood pressure. But still they keep passing it off as if it's, a healthier choice than butter. And, and I've said this in one of my previous videos. I said that, if you go back and you look back into time and you look back in, to the 1800s, to the 1900s, we didn't have all the health issues that we have today. The health issues that we had then were plague and flu and smallpox and stuff like that. We didn't have diabetes, and we didn't have all these cancers and all these sicknesses, and we didn't have all that. And today, we have to deal with that because we've ruined the food that we consume. And we've been brainwashed to think that this fake chemically created stuff is good for us, and it's just tearing us up inside. So like I said, I could go to the store and I could buy butter. It's definitely not hard to do, and comes out to about the same price. For the amount of butter that I'm going to get out of this, you could sit back and you could buy the same amount, maybe $1 or $2 less, from the store. But I would rather know how to make it. And this is just me. This may not be anything any of y'all are interested in. This might not appeal to all y'all, but to me, this is a pretty important step in us regaining our health, and that's learning to make the things that you want instead of relying on industries to make them for you. Okay, things I'm going to make while I'm home this time. I'm making the homemade cornbread. I'm going to do that tonight. I'm making a loaf of whole wheat bread tonight. I'm going to teach my mother-in-law how to do that. Lisa has shown quite a bit of interest in, learning to make some of the things that I do. So, we're not doing anything from packages. Everything is going to be completely homemade. Everything is going to be completely natural, and I'm going to teach her to make bread, and hopefully while I'm gone out on the road, she'll make some bread. I'm going to show her the difference and how different it tastes from what we're accustomed to eating. And when you make your own bread and put it side by side with a slice of bread from a commercial loaf, you'll see an amazing difference in taste and texture. Almost a completely different product. And so I'm going to show her the difference, and if she likes it, maybe she will add bread making to the things that she does. It doesn't take, it takes a little bit more effort than butter. And as you can see, this does take a little bit of time to do. And I am going to work on a small little experiment here. I did something similar yesterday, but I'm going to try to speed this up because we could be here all day long with this. There's always more than one way to skin a cat. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to block this off. It's still going to make a mess. There's not much I'm going to be able to do about it. I'll just have to clean it up. And you're not going to be able to see everything here for a second. But I'm going to speed this up here. See, it is still making a little bit of a mess. But that ought to speed things up considerably. You hear the tone change already? I think that we should be able to do anything, personally. I think that we ought to be able to take complete control over our nutrition. That we should be able to take complete control over our diet. And that we should be able to control our health. And it's hard to do because it's about establishing habits. You know? We live in a really busy age, a really busy time, and it's a time when people don't want to sit down and spend the effort or the time to, to do something healthy. They would rather go to the store and they would rather buy everything that they need. And I'm trying to peek down in here to watch it change, because I do want to show you what it looks like when it hits the stage right before it starts to clump. But we're going to try to speed it up so we get there a little bit faster. Hold it down here. We are going to have a mess, a little bit of a mess regardless. Like I said, this isn't a clean turn it down a little bit here. Alright, look. Let's take this off and look. Alright, go ahead and just throw this away. Alright, see the difference? See what's happening? See the difference in consistency in just that short amount of time? See, now I'm able to turn it up a little bit without it going all over the place. Alright, see what's happening? It's almost butter. Right about now it's about the consistency of whipped cream. Okay, you could probably take that out right there and you could use it on a pie. See, now that we've got it to start thickening up, we're able to turn it quite a bit up without making this big huge mess anymore. Alright, it's about to separate. Here very quickly it'll separate and it'll turn into butter. When it separates, you'll see this thing will start splashing everywhere, and that's buttermilk. See it starting to clump up? Alright. Won't take too much longer now. We're almost at that stage.
You made a mess.
Now, y'all watch this all the way from the beginning, so you see the entire process. Alright, we are almost finished. Alright, let's set this back down. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open this up and I'm going to scrape this stuff off the sides. I want to make sure that everything is getting mixed in. So we're going to scrape this off the sides.
That's starting to look like butter.
Yep, it's starting to look like butter. It hasn't quite separated yet.
That's just milk.
At this point, it's still really good, and it'll still have that cream taste to it. It won't quite taste like butter yet because it still has all of the buttermilk in it. Okay? Now, let's take this, we can put that over there. Set that back down in there. And we're going to start it again.
Bring it up closer?
Yep, let's bring it up a little bit closer. Hold on, make sure. Yep, there you go. Like that. Hold it right there. Let's see if we can watch this thing separate. Only 2 ingredients. We haven't even added the second ingredient yet. So far, all we've added in is cream. Alright, we're going to slow it down. Let everything pull in. Now you see the cream consistency is starting to break up, and as it's starting to break up, it's turning into more chunks, and that's what we want, because it's right before that stage that it's going to separate into buttermilk, and then we're going to have to pour the buttermilk off. After this separates, which is pretty soon now, then we pour the buttermilk off. Then we're going to have to wash the butter. It's a pretty important step, but it's a step that some people forget. So hold it steady. Video's gone on a little bit longer than I intended, so I may actually have to break it down into a part 2, because it'll stop at 29 minutes, which means we've only got about 5 minutes left in the video. Yeah, I think we are going to have to make a part 2. So let me go ahead and stop this video right here. Let's go ahead and bring that over here. We're going to stop the video right here, and we'll start another video once we get this separated, and I'll show you the next step. Alright, peace out.